What's up, guys? It's Carson and Blake. We're back here with another podcast. Just trying to give you guys something to think about going into spring turkey season. That's all we can think about. That's all that's on our minds. Some things we're going to talk about today. It's going to consist of two rarities, you could say. Something that a lot of you won't ever accomplish in your lives, sorry to say. To get started, let's break down this fine specimen that's laying here on our podcast table. So, Blake, tell us a little bit about it. What's laying here on this table with us?
So right here we have a Piebald Buck I killed November 11th. I went down with my wife's brother. He was sitting in a stand, say 50 yards above me, up on another ridge. And we sat there a few times before November 11th, and we saw deer. No real big bucks or anything. We saw a couple doe. That morning he missed at 7:15 a.m. I remember that he missed with a bow.
Hope he's not watching this.
Yeah, Lucas, if you're watching,
I'm sorry, buddy.
I guess thanks for missing. It changed my morning, because if he wouldn't have missed, we would have went down and we would have gutted his deer or whatever and done all that. But he missed at 7:15, and we sat there, and it was 8:55, and I heard some movement over to my right, and 6 doe came up out of the brush, out of the neighbor's side, came up, walked in front of me. I was in my climber. I climbed up a tree that morning, walked in front of me. The two trails in front of me had been 15 yards, that second trail, and they walked in front of me down to the left and disappeared. And November 11th would have been, I don't want to say peak rut. Rut was definitely still in. And it was 9:04. I saw a deer coming up through, and didn't know it was a buck. All I could see was movement, and I heard him grunt. And that got me, any hunter, that would get you pretty excited.
That's a pretty cool thing.
Yes, that gets you really excited. So I grabbed my bow off my hook behind me, and the first thing I saw was the white on its side. And I knew it was piebald. And I told myself, if it was a doe, I was killing it. That's a big deal. I want to kill a piebald really bad. I know a lot of people really hate that, and they say there's a curse, or you get a lot of hate for it. But
Not to name drop, but we do know some people that's missed them.
yes, we do know somebody's missed one. But no, I heard him grunt, and it was a buck, and he comes up, and he comes on the first trail instead of the second one that the doe did, and his mouth was hanging open, and he was fired up. He was trying to catch up to them doe. When I first saw him, it not really shattered my heart, but I was really upset. He looked like a 4-point to me, and in Pennsylvania that's illegal. Has to have 3 on one side. He was coming in this trail, and this trail ended up being 7 yards from my climber. And I watched him the entire time walking up this trail, and all I could see was the 2 Ys on each side. I could not make out a brow tine, and he got closer and closer, and he got close enough I could see this brow tine, and I knew it was game over for him. But he came in the 7 yards up the trail. My climber, it kind of sucked. I had to stand up without him seeing me. I was using a crossbow. I'm glad I was, because I would not be able to kill him with a compound. I had to sit up and aim straight down onto this trail. And it took a while to get him to stop, but he did stop right in front of me and let an arrow fly. And he took off straight down the mountain. And for some reason, I feel like I missed, because he acted like he was not hit. When I first shot, he acted like he was, and then he stopped down there. And of course, I was all upset. And I got a call from my wife's brother. And he says, "What'd you get?" And I said, "Well, I just had a piebald buck in front of me, and I don't think I killed it." And he said, "What do you mean? I heard it hit it." And I was like, "Are you serious?" So we let some time go by, and he comes down, and I climb down on my climber, and I asked him again. I said, "You sure I hit this thing?" And he said, "Dude, I heard it." And I thought he was just crazy. And we went down right to where I flung an arrow at it, and there was blood just everywhere, sprayed all over the place. So my mood changed pretty quick after that. But no, we walked down the mountain to where he took off running, and he was laying 60 yards down there.
So I guess I'm cheating a little bit because I do know the full story, but I guess tell me a little bit about, you had an interaction with your neighbor that I feel like it needs said and shared with the viewers. When you think of your neighbor, especially, and we do it too, but in the hunting world, when you talk about the neighbor, like the first thing I think of is that nasty, let's just say it, the nasty old man across the road that, he always has a frown on his face, and he's the type that might run you off his lawn with a cane and says, get off my place or whatever. But you had a really cool interaction with your neighbor, and let's hear a little bit about that.
So when we bought the cabin, the first thing we did was go over and see the neighbor. And there's not many times you can say you're blessed to have a good neighbor. And the cabin beside us is one of the best neighbors you could ever have. Him and his son and their wives. And I killed this buck, and they follow our outdoor channel. And they ended up saying I killed it. So it was a few weeks later, they stopped me there at our cabin and started talking to me. Said, "You got the piebald?" And I'm thinking, "Yeah, have you got?" Because I've never got a picture of this piebald buck, anything ever on camera. It was the first time I ever saw him.
So to interject right here, if you're my neighbor and I'm your neighbor, and you come over to me and tell me that you killed a piebald buck, I'm gonna be a little bit salty.
No, they were so happy, and that makes me feel really good. But yeah, they said you killed the piebald, and I'm thinking, the piebald? So you've seen this guy before? And they tell me that last year, the year before I killed this, they saw this exact same piebald, and it was a spike, so it wasn't legal. And they thought it was really cool and whatever. And this next year, November 11th, the day I killed it, they have not seen it since that morning. That same morning, it walked by them, and they had their buck tags filled. They said they saw this exact same buck following those doe, and it came right up by me, and I was able to kill it. And dude, they were so happy for me, and them neighbors, that's the best.
Dude, that's awesome. That speaks volumes that not everybody is the malicious, nasty neighbor that you might have in your head that they are. And I think we can all admit that sometimes we're that way. But I mean, that's a pretty awesome story. I think I like that part almost as good or better than the kill, because that speaks volumes to them as people, and just that you're allowed to have two properties that are adjacent to each other, and you're allowed to coexist without any confrontations, and just really awesome story, I feel like. So you guys got to see Blake's piebald, 6-point Pennsylvania archery. Just awesome experience for Blake, and just really a cool accolade that not many people get to have.
One thing I forgot to say is, I remember Carson. I was in the stand that morning, and he was coming back. This had to be Wednesday or Thursday or sometime during the week. He was coming back Saturday from work, and he wanted to sit and film me hunt. And he told me that morning, "You better not kill a buck unless it's a nice one," because he wanted to come back and film me. And that same morning, I texted him and said, "I got one." He said, "You did not." And I FaceTimed him when I was standing over this buck, and I said, "Dude, it's a piebald." He said, "You're kidding me." And I remember FaceTiming him, he answered, and I put the phone over the buck, and
I think my jaw fell to the floor
seeing
first.
his reaction, it's awesome. I'm glad I have hunting friends around that are more pumped about me killing stuff, and that was a good story.
Yeah, that was awesome. So I guess that's part one of this 2-part story. Let's get into part 2 here, and for you turkey lovers like ourselves, you're really going to enjoy this one. So to pick up where we left off, this is part 2 of probably one of your best years ever, with just maybe not the size or the the largeness or whatever the word might be, but really just the uniqueness and like, wow, what cool experiences and neat harvest. So to get right into it, Blake not only killed the Piebald Buck in Pennsylvania, but he followed it up the following spring with just an incredible turkey hunt and a really cool story. A lot of you guys are going to enjoy this. Blake, let's get right into it. So just into the new year, Blake and I put out our cameras. We're doing our turkey scouting, and a lot of our cameras are cellular. So basically, we put out the camera and we let the camera do the talking. So Blake, let's go into kind of just post camera setup and fresh into the new year, and we're looking for turkeys. So tell me about that.
So me and Carson have a few different spots of turkey hunting, and this particular spot we've slammed some turkeys here, and got a picture. It was either middle or end of March, and it was of a longbeard, and the one leg had a little shiny piece on it. I'm thinking, and it must just been the picture, so I left it go, and I got another picture of it, and you could really see it in that one. So the first thing I did was text Carson, and I said, "What do you think about this?" And he said, "Dude, that looks like a band."
That was after I wiped my pants.
Yeah.
So
and me and him duck and goose hunt a lot, and that seems like a lot bigger of a deal, or a lot easier. I don't want to say easier. It's a lot.
It seems more common.
Yes, it seems more common to kill a banded duck or goose, which we've never have, and that's one of our things we want to do. And I was like, dude, a banded turkey, you're nuts. So we kind of brushed it off, and it was a few days, and he pops back up on camera. And yeah, he got close enough to the camera, you could definitely tell it was a band. And this was March, and our season don't start till first week of May. And the one thing Carson was worried about that he told me was, how are you going to keep a longbeard around a property that don't have many hens? I did not get many pictures of hens at all. Maybe one or two once in a while.
And let's also preface, like, this is a smaller piece of private property that you just happen to have access to. Shout out to the landowner, you know who you are, but like, this isn't a public land bird, but it's one of those deals where you have a small piece that you are even able to access for the chance to kill this bird. It's not like you know where he's at and you have 20,000 acres, so the bird is likely in your 20,000 acres. It's like he's on a small piece, and if he flies the piece of water nearby or so on, he's on the neighbors or in the next county almost.
And we know the neighbors across the road, they hunt turkeys a lot. So Carson was worried about him disappearing, which that had me a little nervous, being there's no hens, or if he wants to go somewhere else, he just can. And so it was going through March. It got into April, and I kept getting pictures of him, and he was there consistently, just picture. And April went by. I was sending Carson all the pictures, and it got to end of April, and it was like 2 weeks he was not there.
Yep.
End of April, he was gone, and I kind of figured he found hens, and he's just gone. There's no hens where I was. There a couple, and there are no other longbeards. That's 1 year that we've hunted there that we've not got multiple longbeards. That is the only longbeard I've ever got at that property last year.
And like, just another thing to interject, you figure this is a spot where, to not give you too much detail, but this is a spot where if this bird walks out on the side of the road, like, he's gonna get hit by a car. Like, let's just face the reality of it. Again, without giving too much detail, he's not on a piece of mountain ground that's a huge piece of mountain. He can get hit by a vehicle. Like, let's be honest.
Yep. So I'm trying to remember when our season opened. When did it open that year? It had been the 4th?
It was like the fourth or the
Yes.
6th or something like
It
that.
had been the 4th. So May 4th, the season opened, and me and Carson were driving back from Tennessee that night after we killed our
From
birds.
Caden Edwards.
We killed our birds in Tennessee, and we drove back May 3rd to get back here in time for opening day of turkey season in Pennsylvania. And May 4th, I went out with my supervisor from work. I was going to get him on a bird, which we did. We got one that morning. And I didn't even hunt that property. And I didn't get any pictures or nothing. It was a rainy day, which that's fine. The next day would be May 5th, Sunday. Can't hunt Sundays in Pennsylvania, which I'm not even going to get into that. But yes, you can't hunt Sundays in Pennsylvania. That evening, I wasn't sure I was going that Monday. I was by myself. Sunday evening, right before dark, I got a picture of Bandy. And he was going up. It was right before dark. So he was going to a tree that I knew turkeys roosted on because I've killed turkeys flying down out of that tree before in prior seasons. So I give a call to Carson.
This is where I'm just going to
Carson ain't going to like this.
head out.
Carson was living in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at the time, or Lancaster, however you want to say it, which is 2 hours.
Couple hours from where you're hunting.
2 hours from my house. And I told him, dude, Bandy was there tonight. And he was so excited. He said, dude, we are going to get it on film tomorrow. This is going to be the greatest hunt ever. And I was excited. I could really sleep that night. So the plan was he had all the camera stuff out, charging.
My batteries were charging.
He was going to meet me here at my house early in the morning. We were going to get in way before sunrise to make sure we don't screw anything up. The next morning, it was really early. And I woke up, and ever since high school, Carson's had this I don't know if he's had an issue of sleeping in. And you've had to go up and bang on his door and call him 10 times. And so this next morning I woke up and I'm thinking, he's 2 hours from me. So he'd have to wake up before me and he'd be on the road.
Let me preface, I would have probably had to get up about 1 a.m., 1:30 or something like that. But no excuses. Continue.
So I wake up and I'm thinking, sweet, Carson's on the road. When I hop in the truck, we're going to be just perfect. Everything was going perfect. And I called Carson, didn't answer. And I'm thinking, well, this is high school days again. Call him again, and he answers. He just woke up from his deep sleep.
Oh, gosh.
In his bed in Lancaster. And, yeah, he was not going to make the turkey hunt to film me. So, I'm not mad. I love Carson. I'm mad now. But
I think I was more mad that I missed it.
So I just went by myself, went out to this property. I'm thinking, maybe he won't even fly down. Maybe it's not going to be as perfect as I thought it was going to be. I get out there, set one hen decoy up. It was really early. I got in, and it was probably a good 2 hours till even the sun broke over the mountain. And I'm sitting there, and I can see the field now, and not a single peep of nothing. And I'm not mad. You can't get mad over hunting. I was a little disappointed. And when I'm sitting there, he hammers right beside me, way after daylight.
I know the hair on your arm stood up.
Oh, and I knew it was him. When he hammered, I knew it was him. He's the only longbeard that's been there. So I sit there, and from the first time he hammered to when he flew down, maybe 3 minutes. And I let out some soft yelps, really soft. And 3 minutes, I heard him fly down, and I heard there's a bunch of weeds to my right into the corner where the field comes around. And I hear these weeds. When he flew down, it sounded like he just tore down trees and trees and trees, and it got all quiet. And I can't see anything to my right. So I'm sitting there, I peek out, and I don't see anything. I don't on the field edge, nothing. And it sounds like he's right on top of me. So I resituate myself, look out the window again, and he's strutting right in that corner. And he walks up the field edge, looking at the hen decoy, still strutting. And I'm able to get the gun out of the blind window and got him to look up out of the strut, and I smacked him. And I think I about tore the whole blind out. I couldn't even get out of the blind the way I wanted to just tear the thing apart and jump out of it. Got out, ran over to him, and you could see the band flailing around with him. And I don't know. It was really exciting. The first thing I thought of was Carson missed it. Carson missed. It would have been the greatest hunt of all time, I think.
Especially on film.
It was incredible how it worked out. Seeing him strut, and it was crazy. I FaceTimed Carson, and he said he figured I was going to get it that morning.
Yep, I absolutely did.
But no, I've never seen a hunt play out so perfectly where I knew that animal was there and did exactly what I wanted them to, and it was just picture perfect.
And I guess on the flip side, I've never experienced with myself or a buddy where it was such a high moment, I guess, for both of us, but it was also a little bit somber that we couldn't experience it together, and it's not captured on film, and he had to experience it by himself type thing. But there's plenty of upside to look at it as well, and ultimately he got the job done. He did what he was there to do, and it's let's just face it, it's a once in probably several lifetime birds. I may go my whole life without killing any bird that's banded, or and you might too watching this, but you might not as well. So you just never know what's going to happen out there, and it's really, really cool, especially on that property that happened and took place. You figure, you guys don't know this, but that's basically where Blake and I grew up learning how to turkey hunt. We were young boys and kids pretty much teaching each other how to hunt and watching YouTube videos and so on and so forth. And we would get there, and it would pretty much always have turkeys on it, and we would do the wrong thing, and then we would learn what the right thing was to do, and so much trial and error and experience. And I ended up harvesting my very first turkey ever there, actually, and just a really cool place for that to happen at. I feel like there's a little something extra added that was where the bird was, but just so awesome, and really, really happy for you that you could experience something like that. But for any of the viewers that might want to know, what was the information on the band?
So I called the game commission, and they congratulated me on killing the banded turkey, and they said it was banded 7 miles from the property that I killed it on. So I thought that was really cool. They travel a good bit, and it would have been 2022. He was banded as a Jake. So that would have been 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you killed him as a 2-year-old.
So 7 miles in 2 years is what you want to say.
Yeah. So, take that for what it is. Do they venture further off from their home range? I'm sure a lot of them do, but this particular one didn't. And you never know. Did we see him as a Jake? Did we see him as a banded Jake? You never know. The other thing is, where was he banded right by our property that we never knew that they did turkey bandings at? Yeah. There's a lot of questions still that's unanswered to us that we want to know, that with more research and digging, I'm sure we could find out. But man, just what a cool story. And that was a banner 23-24 season there for you. You have a piebald buck and a banded turkey. What's next? A lottery ticket? So, but all in all, So you really killed a piebald buck, a banded turkey, got married, and for those of you who do or not know, he's actually expecting his first child right now as well. So it's been a whirlwind and a crazy last couple years for Mr. Witter over here. We're so excited for him, and man, just so many awesome things happening there, and a domino effect, and we have so much more to look forward to. But anything else you want to add on the banded turkey aspect of it, or just the whole experience as a season?
I got my first Ohio buck after my piebald too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's another add-on.
Yeah, you're right.
But I don't know. The one thing about the banded turkey, I would still love to know what kept him around there for that long.
Yeah.
March, April, May.
Right.
With no hens. Maybe one or two once in a while.
Sure.
But I'd love to know what kept him around.
Right. And I mean, someone that might be watching this may say, well, that's pretty normal where I live, that a turkey will be hatched in one place and almost never leave the area, so on and so forth. But you really don't see that much where we're at. So just what an awesome experience that was, that you got to experience two once in several lifetime experiences in one season. That doesn't even sound real. So if you're watching this, I want to be Blake Witter when I grow up, but I guess we all have big aspirations. But anyways, a piebald buck, a banded turkey, not to mention you killed the piebald buck with a bow. That's awesome. And then a banded turkey, both in Pennsylvania. I think that speaks volumes to like the type of uniqueness that was experienced. And I don't know how you ask for anything more out of a hunting season. So Blake, do you have anything else about your awesome season?
I just want to thank God for letting all the hunters coming out to hunt these amazing creatures. No matter what you hunt, I'm glad God gave us the opportunity to hunt them. But yeah, if you want to go check out the piebald hunt, it's on our YouTube channel. If you want to check out the banded turkey, it's not on our YouTube channel because somebody didn't wake up. But we have a lot of videos and pictures of it on our social medias. You can find it on there somewhere. But no, I thank everybody that helped, and thank you, Carson, for everything you did during hunting season. But that should be it. And check out the Rest of Head Outdoors podcast. We'll be coming out with some more, but this is a new thing we're starting. So
we might not have done justice on the banded turkey on film, but we hope that we brought it to you and you could really picture it and envision and feel like you were there with us telling the story. So Blake, thanks for talking about it. Just really awesome things going on here at Head Outdoors, as we already talked about. So we're wrapping it up here, guys. Have a great upcoming turkey season. Try and entertain yourselves during these slow times of the year, and spring's on the horizon, guys. Hang with us. Keep up with us. A lot more videos to come.